What's up guys, it's Riley with XKGLOW, and today we are going to be installing our brand new XKmax Atomix strip kit on this Jeep JK. XKmax is our 5th generation lighting system that is addressable and RGBW, meaning you're going to get all of the chasing themes and patterns, and you will get full RGB color range with a dedicated pure white light. Let's dive in a little bit closer to the actual kit itself. So this is our Jeep Atomix kit. We designed this kit specifically for the Jeep Gladiator, but it's going to fit your JLs, your JKs, and anything in between because these strips are actually trimmable. So you're gonna have your instructions, and then you will have 4 extension wires, 1 for each strip in the kit. We will have 2 36-inch strips, which are gonna be for the hood. 1 is left and 1 is right. We will get into that here in a little bit. And then you will have your 2 strips for the running board. Again, they will be one side and the other. So we will look at how to determine that later in the video. You will get your 4-channel controller that will run the kit, and then the switch to make sure you can hook that straight into your battery, as well as some end caps. These are gonna be very important, very useful if you have to trim these strips. So if you're trimming them, be sure to look for these end caps and make sure they're in your kit. And of course, last but not least, your XKGLOW sticker. This thing's gotta go somewhere. Before we jump into the install, I'm gonna tell you just how easy this kit is gonna be to install with the very little amount of tools you're gonna need for it. You will need a pair of scissors or side cuts, anything to be able to trim the strips, and then you will need your trusty 10mm socket to access your battery to get the controller hooked up to it. And then we have the secret sauce, special sauce, anything to clean the Jeep with. Before we're sticking adhesive on there, we wanna make sure the surface is extremely clean. Alcohol works even better, so something of that nature, a rag, and we'll make sure we clean those spots off very, very good. So now that we got everything out here, we are ready to put it on the Jeep, so let's jump right into it. So the hood strips are actually gonna be mounted on the bottom side of the hood. So we've got to open this thing up, and the first thing we are going to do is go ahead and start wiping the areas that the strips are gonna be stuck to. So you're gonna pop this open, and the strips are actually gonna be mounted right here along the inside. So we're gonna take the special sauce, alcohol, whatever you've got to clean that, get it on rag and really clean this surface, because that is going to be the only thing to help this adhesive bind to the painted surface. And we will do that on both sides of the hood. So before we get this stuck up there and cut to length, we need to make sure we have the right side. So the easiest way to tell that is this white part here is going to be the light. So the light is going to have to face down, and the wire needs to go towards the back of the Jeep. So what you're going to do is just hold it up there and make sure you have the right side. So the red's the tape, the white light is sticking down, and the wire is going towards the back. So that means this is the passenger side strip. Once you figure that out, you can go ahead and start holding this up there, and we will need to mark it so we can cut it down the length. So you're gonna want the light as far back as possible, but where you can tuck the wire up, that way you're not gonna see it, which should be about there. And you're just gonna run the strip temporarily all the way up until you get to those bolts are about gonna be your stopping point on the JK. So this is where we're gonna have to trim. So I'm going to use my finger and hold that spot, and you will take your scissors, and this is where you will actually just cut straight through the strip. So the spot I had marked, and I will snip straight through these, and then we will go find the end caps because we need to be sure to seal this off. So after we've got our strips cut, it is very important to get the end caps that came with your kit. Put a little bit of silicone, if you have a hot glue gun, anything that you have that will really just help seal that off. We just want to squirt a little bit down in the cap, so I will do that. And then we're gonna take our strip, peel just a little bit of this 3M backing back, and now we will put the cap directly over to help seal this end off from anything getting inside of there. Now we're good to stick her on the hood. So before I stick this side on, I'm actually gonna grab the driver's side, and I'm gonna use this one that I've already trimmed and sealed to cut this length of this, since both sides are gonna be the exact same. So I will line both of those up and make sure I get my cut mark. And I will take the scissors, and just like the other side, we will cut straight through the strip. And then we will seal this one. Now that we've got both sides cut, sealed, and ready to be stuck on the hood, I'm actually going to do the Jeep thing, and I am going to take the hood and put it all the way back up against the windshield just to give me a little bit more room to work with, and it kind of just makes it a little bit easier when it comes, time to actually stick these on here. So I'm gonna set her all the way back, and now I've got all this room and space, and I am going to take this strip and start running it. So again, be sure you have the right side. Now that the hood is upside down, the wire end will still come down, and the light will actually be facing up. So to stick this, I'm going to start down here on the wire end. Start by peeling back your 3M, and you're going to want to line this up right down here on the edge, but you want to be sure that you have plenty of room for this wire to be tucked and turned away. That way you don't see it in that body line. So as I start, I will start putting pressure on the 3M and just keep peeling that backing, and we're gonna run this all the way up the hood, making sure that everything is stuck and hidden below the hood line. So if you look at it from this side, just make sure that light is going to be below this part on the hood. This does not have to be perfect. Again, when we light the mounts like this, they're actually just gonna cast light onto the bottom side of the hood. So this does not have to be perfect, but you wanna make sure to make it as even as possible. That way, just to help that you've got a nice, smooth, and even light coming on the bottom side of the hood. So that's it. I'm going to keep pressing all the way down again, just making sure that I've got this light completely stuck onto the hood before we move over to the other side. So now we've got the passenger side stuck on, we're going to do the driver's side. Again, just to be sure, the wire is going to be going towards the back of the hood, and now since the hood is upside down, the white part is the light and it's going to be pointed up. So same process as the other side. We're going to get our 3M backing started to peel off of here. Then we're gonna put this bottom part as far down as we can to where we will be able to get that wire turned and out of the way. And once you get that started, you're gonna just continue to peel the backing up, and we'll stick her all the way up, making sure that the light is below the hood line so you don't see it, the light itself, when the hood is down. Then you're gonna go back over, and we're gonna really press down on this just to be sure we've got that light stuck to the hood good. So after we've got both sides stuck on the hood, before we go and run all the wiring, we wanna be sure to close the hood and make sure that the lights aren't interfering with anything down below. So we will do that now before we start running the wires. Also, be sure, since we don't have the wires tied up yet, that they're not going to be pinched on anything as you close the hood. We will lower this down, and make sure you do your latches. You want to be sure that when the hood is completely latched up, that it's going to close fine and there's going to be no issues with it, which there's not. So if you put them right there on the bottom side of the hood, there shouldn't be anything, but just in case you have any aftermarket accessories in there, wires tucked somewhere that I may not have on this one, we want to be sure to close that hood now before we go and run all of our wires. So now that we've got the hood strips stuck, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the running board strips. That way we can just run all of the wiring together. So first things first, secret sauce and a rag, and we're gonna make sure to clean this surface super good. That way we've got some nice surface for the lights to stick to. So now that we've got both sides of the Jeep wiped up, we are ready to grab the strips, hold them up, get them cut to length, and stick them on. Now now that we're about to stick the running boards, I want to highlight the orientation that these things have to go on. It is going to seem a little bit backwards, but because we put the hood lights upside down and the wires are going towards the back of the Jeep, we are going to have to do the same thing on the running boards. The wire has to go to the back of the Jeep. This is just going to ensure that those chasing patterns are going to be, in unison back and forth with the hood and the running board itself. So to start this, I am going to do it a little bit different of the hood since these are so long and I'm one person. I'm actually going to go ahead and stick it to the Jeep, start running it down until I get to my point where I need to cut the strip, and then I'll go ahead and cut it. So to do that, we're gonna go ahead and get down here and find out how I'm gonna get this wire around it. I've decided I'm just gonna kind of tuck it right here around it and then figure out where exactly you're gonna stick it. The Jeep has a little bit of a ledge here I'm gonna stick it to. If you have running boards, anything like that, you can actually stick these on the running boards if you would rather do that. But however you stick these, the wire has to be coming out of the back of the Jeep if you want your chasing patterns to match the hood. So I'm gonna go ahead, we've got it cleaned off. I'm gonna start peeling this back, get my wire exactly where I was wanting it, and I will start sticking the lights. So exactly like the hood, we're just gonna put the pressure down as we go, continue to peel the backing off of the lights. And you really wanna make sure you work from one end to the other to avoid getting wrinkles or anything in the lights themselves. They can get a little bit wavy on you, but as long as you start from one side and go to the other, they should stay pretty flat. So as I get down here to the end, I've actually got these aftermarket fender flares, which are gonna give me a pretty good stopping point there. So I'm gonna grab your scissors, figure out where exactly I'm wanting to cut that, and I'm gonna peel it back, cut my strip. And before I stick it on there, I'm gonna go grab my end cap so I can be sure to seal that off with some silicone. So threw some silicone in the cap, and we're gonna go ahead and put that on the end, make sure that is nice and sealed off. And then we will finish sticking that all the way up to the edge. Then I'm gonna go over one more time and just press all the way down that strip, ensuring that we've got it nice and stuck to the side of the Jeep. So now we're gonna do the exact same process on this other side, ensuring that the connector is going to be facing the back of the Jeep, just like the other side was. So I'm going to start peeling the backing, get my wire exactly where I want it, and then we'll start sticking the strip all the way down. So now I'm gonna go back over this and make sure all of this is stuck one more time. And now that we've got both sides stuck to the Jeep, we're gonna go ahead and start running the wires. We are gonna start with the running board wires. So I'm gonna go grab the extension wires and we'll get them ran to the front of the Jeep. So the wiring on this kit is super simple. We are going to take the 13-foot extension wire and it is going to be connected to the controller, which will be by the battery, and will plug into the strip. So it is important, you want to make sure you are taking the female side of this extension wire and running it to the light, because that's where the connection is going to be. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to drop it straight down here by the battery, down to the bottom of the Jeep, and then I will go ahead and run it all the way across the Jeep there underneath it. Be sure to use plenty of zip ties to get that wire tied up to anything away from any moving parts or anything that gets hot, and just be sure it's nice and secured under there. That way nothing is dangling underneath the Jeep. So I've grabbed the other 13-foot extension wire, and it's gonna be the same exact process on the other side, but we're gonna want a little bit more wire on this end because we are gonna have to run it across the engine bay to connect to the controller. But I'm gonna take the female end, we're gonna drop it down right here and run down and over to the end of the strip. Don't forget to use plenty of zip ties underneath there to keep the wire tied up nice and neat. Now that we've got the wires ran for the running board lights, we're gonna go ahead and wire up the hood lights as well. We're going to grab the 2 shorter extension wires, 1 for each light, and we are going to connect it here. Quick note on these connectors. So we've developed these connectors to be super waterproof, super durable. There is dielectric grease already packed in the connectors to help seal them up. When you plug these in, you will see 2 XKGLOW logos that'll actually line up. So you're just going to want to line those up, line off the tabs, and then push them in. You'll hear them click. These tabs can be used for a zip tie, a bolt, screw, or if you don't need them, you can actually go ahead and rip them off as well, as they're perforated. But I will plug into this light and run this wire along with the running board wire straight across over to the battery where the controller is going to be at. We're going to get this last hood strip plugged in. The extension wire is a little long on this one, so just be sure to zip tie it up nice and neat. There should be plenty of room to shove it down in your engine bay, but we will avoid that rat's nest and just make sure you zip tie it up together. So we'll plug it in and then let it kind of droop down here into the engine bay. For these hood wires, we do want to leave some slack in these as the hood opens and closes. You're not going to want to pull these super tight, so we will kind of zip tie these up to the closest point, but leaving some slack, leaving room for the hood to open and shut, making sure these aren't putting any stress or tension on these wires to pull them apart or anything like that. So we'll leave some slack. We'll zip tie these up, and we will make sure we zip tie all the wires in the engine bay away from anything hot. Just keep them nice, neat, tucked up and away from everything. Now that we've got all 4 strips wires ran to here, it is time to get the controller connected to your battery. This Jeep actually has our XK command switch pack, so I'm going to be wiring up to that, but it's going to be the same thing. You will take your switch, you've got the positive and negative battery terminals on there, go ahead and put those to your battery, and then we will get the controller plugged into the switch. After we plug our controller in, we are going to start plugging in each strips. Now channels A and channel C are going to be for the hood strips, B and D will be for the running board strips, A and B will be for one side, C and D will be for the other side. It's okay if you put these in reverse order, you may just have to flip-flop some of these connectors. So I'll go ahead and I'll start plugging these in, lining up those tabs and pressing all of these together. So A and B should be my passenger side, and C and D is going to be my driver's side. After we get all of these plugged in, we can go ahead and turn on the controller because it does have power using the switch, and you should start seeing the lights light up. This is when, if you see one of the running board strips only half lit up, it's probably got the hood strip configured onto it, so just flip-flop those plugs and you'll be good to go. When the controller is powered on, it's going to have a green logo. That means it needs to be paired. So if you haven't already downloaded the XKmax app, the easiest way to do that is go ahead and grab your instructions, and there's going to be a QR code on there for the App Store and the Google Play Store. So you can go ahead and scan that, get the app downloaded, and then we will pair to the controller. I already have the app downloaded, so I will walk you through how we pair to the controller. So once you open it up, you will see there is going to be a hamburger menu in the top right corner. We will press that and it will show a new device. We will tap on that to pair, and you will sit here as it pairs to the controller. We will click done, and we agree the legal notice, and now you will be paired to the lights. So now that we've got all the strips ran to the controller, there's actually one more thing we can do to make sure all of the chasing patterns are going to be perfect in each of these strips. So since we trimmed them down, we've actually changed the amount of addressable LEDs in each strip. So we can go into the app and customize that. To kind of show you what I'm talking about, if I go into the themes and do a center chase theme, you can see the center of this is right over here, which actually isn't the center of the strip. So we're just going to go into the app and fix that. How to do that is we will go to the configuration page and go to the Connect Lights map. Now we need to figure out how long this strip actually is. So we'll take a tape measure and I will measure that out. And it is about 33, but we've got to divide that number by 2. So we're going to round up to 34 just to make sure we do the whole length of the strip. So I will go to channel A and I can actually drag this panel gap strip off of here. And I will click the plus sign and you will find the custom LED unit. So I've already got a bunch loaded in here, but we'll go to the bottom and add a new one. On the LED type, these are RGB lights, so we will change that over to RGB. And then we measured them to 34, so divided by 2, we got 17. So we'll put 17 addressable units in here, and we will name it hood strips. We will actually use this unit for both sides, so I'll just leave it as hood strips. And you can add a picture if you want to. I'm just gonna save it with the hood strips. I will press that, and then now that's gonna load that onto there. To double check that, we can go to the theme page. Be sure to save that before you get out of it. And now when I do the center chase theme, you can see it's going right to the center of the strip. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add that unit onto the other hood strip, and I will do the same thing for both running boards. Once you get all of this done, there's still a ton of features built into this app, so be sure to subscribe to the page. We're gonna be adding a lot more videos like how to hook these into your turn signals, how to maybe hook them into your dome lights, go through how to sync them to music, all of that fun stuff. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned because we've got a lot more coming for the XKmax series.